Hi, my name is Nikhil Patel, and this presentation will be on cymatics. Now, what exactly is cymatics? We went over it very briefly in class, but very simply, cymatics is a visualization of sound and vibration. In this presentation, I will be going over Chladni patterns and the application of cymatics. Let's start off with a history of Chladni patterns. Ernst Florenz Friedrich Chladni of Saxony published a work in 1802 demonstrating patterns that form on a vibrating plate with sand. He stroked the edge of a plate covered in sand with a violin bow to vibrate the plate. This then created patterns, which we now call Chladni patterns. Today, we have more advanced technology to create more specific frequencies. The violin bow would produce a range of frequencies, therefore, it wasn't really accurate in associating which frequencies create which patterns. Well, now, we can easily create a single repeating frequency with a speaker. The Chladni patterns change depending on the shape of the plate, the frequency, and the material. Different materials have different resonance frequencies because they have different densities and bulk moduli. The shape can change the type of patterns that form, and the frequency determines the complexity of the pattern. Here you can begin to see how the different frequencies create different patterns. The higher the frequency, the more complex the pattern gets. These patterns form due to the resonance of the board with the frequency. The board has areas with nodes and antinodes. The nodes are areas with zero amplitude, meaning little to no vibration, while the antinodes are the areas with the highest amplitude, meaning more vibration. The antinodes push the sand with vibration to the nodes. This effect creates these interesting and intricate patterns. As the frequency increases, the number of nodes and antinodes increase, resulting in a more complex pattern. Moving on to the application of cymatics, most of the research I saw was related to the potential for visualizing sound as a means for communication, similar to how Braille converts the tactile sense into language. Obviously, you can have subtitles or a written form of language, but say for example there's a specific noise that can't fully be described by writing, such as different pitches, music, or the sound of wind blowing through trees. You can use onomatopoeia, but that won't fully describe the sound. The difficulties expressing a visual representation of the sound would be incorporating volume, pitch, tone, as well as making something that is understandable and coherent. There's also potential in sound therapy for people with autism, as well as a way to express art. Surprisingly enough, there was also research involving cymatic-inspired solar panel cleaning. The issue they encountered was solar panels in the Middle East getting covered with sand, not allowing enough sunlight to reach the photovoltaic cells. They researched using Chladni patterns to vibrate the sand off of the solar panels. In the diagram, you can see the highest amplitude, or the antinode, is in the center and the nodes are on the corner of the plate, pushing the sand off the edges. If incorporated, this would reduce the need for manual labor and clean the panels, and reduce the amount of water used to clean the panels. Moving on to sound propagation, I would assume that cymatics would be incredibly helpful for designing acoustics and simulating vibrations. I ran across articles talking about the visualization of sounds in solids and in rooms. The research demonstrated the effects of putting acoustic diffusers in rooms of different shapes and highlighted the potential of this form of cymatics for educational purposes, such as visual demonstrations as to how sound moves in a room, as well as how it changes when diffusers and suspended panels are added, as well as the potential in the professional field where architects and acoustic engineers could design an area optimal for acoustics. In conclusion, cymatics is not just used for Chladni patterns, but there's also so much more potential for cymatics in the industry.